close to vlog season again. The golf courses are not open yet, but not too far away. We're here at Bearspaw today. We've got a bit of a mess on the golf course this time of the year. Pre-season with our golf course superintendent, Adam. Adam, thanks for being here.
Of course.
Let's go take a look on what it looks like before we open the golf course for the year. So Adam, one of the things that we want to explain to people today is really the preparation that goes into getting a golf course ready for the golf season. I think even for me as an owner and an operator, I tend to forget how much work there is to do on a golf course. We stopped here for a reason, as you can see. Look at all the tree branches alone.
Yeah, one thing we talked about when you first got here is just how messy the golf course is. I mean,
it's a big mess.
There's a lot to clean up before
Right.
before golfers get out here.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of windstorms this winter. We have a lot of massive poplars here, and every windstorm we're going to get those poplars shedding their branches, and
Right.
it's just something that we need to clean up. Spruce cones are another thing. There's a ton of areas out here where they're just covered in spruce cones. So we try to prioritize and get some of the main visual areas done first, but there's a lot to do.
But I mean, sitting around here is probably a dozen trees within, close distance to us, and you just look at the amount of branches that are here.
Yeah.
You think about how many thousands of trees we have on this property alone. This in itself is a big project.
It is. And what's the best way to clean them up? It's really the best way is just to hand rake them and pick them up.
Pick them up.
I mean, this really small ones, we have a mechanical sweeper that would go on the back of a tractor.
Right.
But for the most part, it's handwork.
And this is the exact reason why people are starting to call the golf shop saying, hey, when are we're getting the itch to start playing? We say, we got to wait a bit because we got to get prepared to open the golf season. All right, let's take a look at what else, other things you look for on the golf course to get ready for the golf season.
Sure.
I think a big thing on a golf course obviously is the irrigation. I tend to think we don't think about that as much before the golf season starts, but it's something that's always on your mind. Talk to us a little bit about irrigation and some of the things that can happen during the winter.
Yeah, definitely. Irrigation is like to have the irrigation system running as early as we can in the year is important.
Right.
As soon as we start hitting the golf course with traffic, whether it's carts or even foot traffic, and we're not getting any moisture, not getting any rain, it's important that we get the sprinklers fired up. Whenever we do that, though, we're always going to encounter some pipe breaks, and those pipe breaks can be caused by a number of different things. Frost heaving in certain areas, if the frost has gone deep and gotten underneath the pipe and heaved it. And the other possibility is that we just, in the fall when we blow out the system, we do our best to get all the water out of the pipes as much as we can, but there's always a little bit that trickles and settles in a low spot, and if it fills up the pipe, it can expand and crack the pipe. So we need to do those repairs as quick as we can.
Yeah, and that's just part of golf course maintenance, of opening up the golf course for the season and getting the irrigation repaired. It happens at every golf course every single year. Yeah. If you're, a golfer might be in, more warm climates, it's not something you typically think about because the irrigation's running year round. Exactly. It's for sure a problem for us. We're sitting here adjacent to the fairway as well. Obviously our main playing surface, something that we want to get as good as possible from both an aesthetic and playability standpoint early in the year. What are things you look for on the actual turf, the fairways, the roughs, this time of the year?
Really, when the snow starts melting, we're already looking and assessing what kind of damage we may or may not have. Okay. So there's different types of winter damage that can occur, whether it's from snow mold or whether it's desiccation. If we don't have any snow, like other golf courses get just wind swept, and the course can dry out too much in the winter. But what we're looking for really is, I know it's not necessarily green, and this is a good area to look at. Just because it's not green doesn't mean that's not going to be green soon. So what we'll do to assess the damage is just super simple thing, and just scratch your hand in there, and look, you can see all the life already. That's a good sign. Even though this is a brown area, it won't be. And this fairway looks like it's going to start the year in good shape.
So is the brown area on top just the dormancy of the turf from the winter, and it's just kind of browned off during the winter?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, it's just the grass has gone dormant. It's gone into its hibernation mode, and the leaf blade just kind of turning brown as normal.
Yeah, I think a lot of times people think that we kind of shut down in the winter, and we do from an operational standpoint, but there's a lot of ongoing work for you and your team all throughout the winter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's the most common question I get is, so what do you do in the winter?
Right.
That's everybody in the turf business gets that. And
I get the exact same question, actually. Yeah. Well, let's go up and see our bunker and our green around here, because there's some things that we deal with early in this season before we get golfers out that I think are interesting and fun to point out as well.
Sure.
Let's go take a look. Is this something that you would pay attention to or look at as it relates to ice?
Yeah, definitely. It's a low spot.
Right.
As the snow is melting, water is going to collect there.
Okay.
And what we're really focused on is throughout the whole winter is how long is the ice there.
Right.
So it's different species of grass can survive underneath ice for different periods of time.
So you just got to constantly monitor it.
Yeah, and then the other thing we're looking for is, especially in the spring, is one form of winter damage is called crown hydration. So that the crown is the part of the grass plant where the growth starts. That's where the leaves kind of emanate from.
That sounds like another video to me.
Could be. It could be. There's lots of research been done on it. Yeah.
So you're looking for those types of things all the time.
Yeah. There's multiple different ways the grass can be damaged from winter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
And depending on that damage, the solutions can be various as well.
Right, of course, yeah. Well, we're just getting up to the green, the bunker. Let's take a look at what this looks like before we open the golf season, because this bunker, maybe we'll start here, is a pretty good example of, I think, what this would look like, as we're starting to get into the early spring, and what you guys need to do in order to get a bunker like this ready for golf play.
Yeah, this is a great example of just, obviously it's not ready for golf. It's got the snow to melt, but as the snow's melting, it's creating a washout, as you can see in the end there. So there's washouts to fix. We've got debris like sticks, pine needles, right, or spruce needles, and leaves. And it's just there's a lot of work, a lot of depth to adjust. And
correct me if I'm wrong. There's a lot that needs to happen to this bunker in order to get it to a playing condition, without question. Right, golfers are not going to be happy with this today. Yeah. This, I believe, is a lot of handwork as well.
Right. That's
the only way to really,
basics of it. That's the only way to do it well is to do it by hand.
Yeah, and the bunker that's over here, I see some bigger branches in there, the leaves, all the debris. I think it's something that people tend not to think about a lot, because when they come, the bunkers are in much different condition than they'll be today. But you and your team have got a lot of work ahead of you to get these in playable condition.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Okay, let's take a look at the greens. This is something that I've always found fascinating about Bearspaw, because it's different than even what most golf courses do here in our market. Yeah. Why don't you go explain to us exactly what's happening here? The tarping process is similar to what other people do, other than we have different layers, I believe, here, but I'm going to let you explain that. Share with us a little bit about our green complexes and how we protect it during the winter.
Sure. We've got two types of tarps that could possibly, you'd have on a golf course in Alberta. A semi-permeable that allows air and water to exchange through the winter, and then you've got an impermeable like this one. So every green at Bearspaw has a tarp like this, and we think of it as an ice shield, so what the idea being is that it's not going to allow ice to form. Ice could form on top of the tarp, but if it's not forming on top of the grass, then that's the key for us.
Okay.
Right.
And if it does form on top of the grass, then I know what happens, but explain to people that might be watching this video what can happen to a green if there's too much ice buildup.
The best way to describe it is it suffocates the plant.
I was going to say the same thing. I'm glad I was thinking along the same lines.
There you go. Yeah. So it
suffocates and then kills it.
It dies eventually. Yeah. So once again, under a certain amount of time, as an example, Poa annua can survive under ice probably for only 60 days, whereas bentgrass can survive for much longer. Some research has shown even up to 180 days.
Okay, so we've developed a system here that we have a tarp that's a solid tarp or
solid tarp.
Solid tarp, so it doesn't allow the ice buildup or the oxygen or air to get through it, or water or snow as it gets on the tarp as well.
Yeah.
But there's also been something else that's happened here at Bearspaw, and I want you to kind of run through, what are we looking at here, and what is this?
Yeah, this is the ventilation system we use. And so the idea being is that when say there was a foot of snow over this tarp,
right?
It's not breathing, right? The tarp is impermeable. It can't exchange air with its environment. Right. So what we need to do is, and if that tarp sits on the grass too long, that can suffocate the grass as well. So underneath,
just because there's no air exchanging under
air
there?
exchange.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So underneath the white tarp, you don't see it right now, but there's a layer of industrial bubble wrap, and I compare it to a pool cover,
right?
A solar blanket for a pool. So that's what's creating air channels underneath the tarp and making sure the tarp doesn't sit flat on the grass. Okay. So these black tubes are connected to ventilation tube, which is collapsible. So what we'll do is, usually about once a week, we'll come out and we'll use this gas meter here.
So what does this gas meter do for you?
Right, it takes in the air through this tube. Yeah. And it analyzes the air sample and gives us a percentage of oxygen and percentage of carbon dioxide.
Okay, so can we pick that up?
Yeah. So right now you've got, and in the air is 20.9% oxygen, right, and 0% CO2.
And I'm guessing you want a 0% or as close to 0% on the CO2 as possible, or?
We have a little bit more flexibility. What we're looking for is to prevent the oxygen and CO2 from being at or close to the same level. So if the oxygen drops from 20 down to 8 or 10 and the carbon dioxide rises up to 8, we could have what we call an anoxic condition, and that's where you're looking to avoid.
So are these conditions you're seeing here right now essentially ideal?
Yeah, and the main reason for that is because there isn't snow. Right. So along the edges of the tarp, you are going to have air exchanging. It's going to naturally ventilate itself right now.
Totally makes sense. When you have the snow on there, it acts as a blanket that would avoid any air exchange under the tarp.
Yeah, exactly. So if we came out here and this meter read, say, even 12% oxygen and 6% carbon dioxide, we hook up just your standard backpack blowers to the black tube. Okay. And we run them, and we just pump fresh air underneath the tarp, and it works its way through the bubbles and into all the areas underneath the tarp, and just kind of gives it some ventilation.
If you were in a condition that wasn't ideal, you hooked up the backpack blowers, how long would it take the readings from the meter here to change?
Yeah, good question. Depends on the green and how long the levels have been like that for. So what we will do is leave the meter running as we're blowing the fresh air in. And sometimes, some greens, it would take 5 minutes for the numbers to change and for the oxygen to get back to 20%. And other greens, you could sit there for 20 minutes and let the air blow. So we've kind of gotten to know now the greens that we have trouble with. There's some greens that we need to vent weekly, and there's some greens where we only need to vent 4 times out every winter.
There's actually quite a bit of science that's behind the system that's been created here. Is that fair enough?
Yeah, there's been a lot of research done on it, and there's no system to protect greens that is 100% foolproof.
Not in this market. There's not.
No. So what we've kind of done here, it's like you got to think of it as an insurance policy. It's the best possible insurance policy, but
for our property, other properties are a little bit different.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. Well, really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Adam, we've got a lot of work to do in the next few weeks to get the golf course ready, but I know you and the team are up for the tasks to do that. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please do so. We're going to be back with Adam again this summer doing more turf care maintenance videos. Hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you next time.